Hello, everyone. Glad to see you back at Silver Tears Tarot. And of course, a warm welcome to anyone who is new. So, today we're looking at another question that comes from a viewer. This reading is going to be what they would tell you if they had the opportunity to just say whatever they wanted without any repercussion. I thought this was going to be a great idea. There are a lot of people who would love to hear that, so I wanted to be sure to fit that one in. So, as you guys know, it's a general reading. It's for all signs. This will be timeless, so it'll show up for you at the right time for you to get the messages. Won't resonate with everybody. If it does with you, I would just ask you to please like and share and subscribe so that you can stick with me. And there have been a lot of patterns in this collective, so there may even be some videos that you would want to watch that would come from some of the messages that would come from previous videos. So, first, looking at that big idea as we look at what's happening on the soulmate journey. And it's the big idea. So this is kind of the idea that the reading is going to be wrapped around. Um, but ultimately, the question that we're asking with the overall reading is what they would tell you if they had the opportunity. So what's the main idea of this reading? We have, just going to take the top card. We have the earth. So this is like, and this in this deck, it's the equivalent of the world in the traditional tarot. But it's in reverse, and it's that message that this is not over yet. Sometimes when you get the earth in reverse, it's an idea or it's a matter of not having passed judgment. And so having to kind of go back to the beginning of the fool's journey and that sort of thing. Here, though, it's more a sense of something not yet completely being done. Something's not fully accounted for. That is the main idea that this reading is wrapped around. So that's interesting. That's a sense of unfinished business. Next, let's look at the energetic backdrop for the time between the two of you. So this is, what would your person tell you? You don't have to be in connection with them at this point or in contact with them. You can be in a complete no contact situation with no interaction between the two of you at this time. But the energetic backdrop is going to capture that time that between the two of you when you were at your most active. So that one just kind of hopped out there. We've got the Ten of Swords in reverse. So this is about helping each other with pain. There was existing pain for both of you that you were both working through kind of on your own pace when the two of you came together, and I feel had a soul recognition. So at that time, the two of you, when you started interacting, there was this reduction of pain, and lo and behold, you would end up triggering in one another a fear of this very pain, but it was that pain that it started to make you feel like things were better for a little while there. So that's interesting. That's the energetic backdrop for the time between you. And so, oh, I meant to tell you, I'm reading for you with the Constellation Tarot. And I'm gonna clarify with the Good Karma Tarot here in a moment. So, but what I want to see next is what they would tell you. So, what would your person tell you? This is kind of what the reading is really trying to get at. What would your person tell you if they had the opportunity to say just whatever they wanted without any repercussions? Okay, so we have balance, justice. This is the equivalent of the Justice card. This is the Libra card in this deck, and it is all about establishing a balance. And it has everything to do with what they wish that balance could look like. That's the first message that starts to come out. They want to be able to explain to you what that balance would look like to them. But there may be something in them that stops them from doing that because first of all, there's this huge fear of this ending, which in some cases has already come to happen. You know, it's already come to fruition, and it's been one of those things that was sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy after a little bit of self-sabotage. But what they really wish is that they could make things right. What else would they want you to know? Let's ask that. So it's an opportunity for more messages about what they would want you to know. So the Ten of Wands. Okay, so in the time that you were together, in this time where when you came together and you were able to see that they were very happy when they were with you. So this gets a little bit confusing because you can see how happy they are when they're with you, but what you may not realize is that this is something that's happening as a result of you being in the picture. They're not actually that happy. There's sort of a lot of tens here, but there's sort of a 10 of cups sort of feeling to this. It's a little bit too good to be true. And it feels too good to be true for them too. So that's even maybe part of the challenge that the two of you are ending up having together. But there is this 10 of Wands sort of feeling that they also wish they could tell you. And that is, here's what else I was kind of going through at the time that I was experiencing this time with you, and you were making me feel so much better and look so much better. You were seeing them at their best. So there was something that they were carrying that was very heavy that they were not necessarily letting you see the whole thing. So you might have had some ideas that it was there. I do get that sense, but I also get the sense that you probably didn't have a full picture. They wish they could make things better, and they wish that they could really just kind of give you a square up with you and let you know the whole picture there. There is definitely this sense that things aren't over between the two of you completely. This is not a closed picture. It's not completely done. Let's take a look at the hidden energies. This is what they wish they knew that they couldn't tell you for some reason. It was usually the hidden energies are just things that you would see if you were looking at it from a different angle, but this may not be that. This may be something that they hid from you for more of a reason than that. It's a little bit more intentional. So the 8 of Cups. Okay. So they wish that they could tell you that they hadn't quite figured out they all right, so they hadn't figured out how to work you into their worldview. They had this idea of what things were supposed to be like, and they hadn't quite figured out how to work you into that worldview. That's kind of part of what this is here. And it was really about them going toward their dreams. And it's them going toward the dreams. The 8 of Cups can be very much walking toward your dream. But they're walking toward a dream that they've defined for themselves that they later realize when they meet you, they hadn't accounted for everything. So that's essentially the thing that they can't tell you. They just wouldn't be able to make themselves tell you. But what they do want to do is make things right, maybe even just have a conversation to make things right and to let you know kind of here is what you were seeing. This is some of the circumstances that you were seeing at the time that you had that energetic backdrop that we see here where things feel a lot better, but it's not necessarily real improvement. So let's see what they wanted to have happen in the future. And so this is more of a what are their hopes and dreams? It's not so much here's what's going to happen. It's here's a little bit of what they would want looking into the future. So we have the 5 of Wands, and it's an interesting 5 of Wands. The 5 of Wands is it's a very constructive energy, but a lot of times what it results in is a struggle and things that are very difficult. But they feel like the two of you are equipped to work through this and to be better about handling this struggle, whatever it is. And so it's going to be different for each of you. But they feel like you are the sort of person that they could get together with and move forward and solve all of the problems with. So that's something very special. And they want to do that with you. They want to be able to solve problems and make things feel back to where they should be again, let you know kind of really what was going on there and how much of what you saw was based on the way they were essentially utilizing your energy and not in a energy vampire sort of way, but that's why they appeared so happy. But they couldn't quite make the turn back toward you away from what they had defined as what they wanted in the past. They do, though, recognize that things aren't quite yet over. So let's go ahead and take a look and do a little bit of clarification. And so this is going to be with the Good Karma deck. A lot of good illustrations here in this one. So we're going to start with the Earth in reverse. So that's that it's not over yet sort of feeling that we have there. It's not over yet. What would clarify the Earth? So the first thing we have is the Emperor in reverse. Okay, and so that's not a balanced Emperor, and it's all about control in this situation. Um, but I also see the Queen of Wands, which is a lot of passion. It's a lot of passion, and that's more what I get off of this card than anything else. The reason that the two of you could move forward on this is because there is desire in both of you to do so, or there would be desire in both of you to do so. The thing you would have to be careful about is both of you trying to kind of control the direction that things would end up going, because there is a tendency in both of you to say, I have defined what my Nine of Cups looks like, or I am in the process of defining that. And I want to steer things in that direction, which is, of course, what manifestation, is at its core, steering the energy toward your Nine of Cups, your wish fulfillment. But there are ways to do that and ways that you may not want to do that. So you want to stay away from the things that are going to be things that you would less want to do, things that would be more exerting control for the sake of exerting control, but not necessarily for the good of the situation. But by all means, rely upon this passion right here. That is a very beautiful energy. Let's take a look at this Ten of Swords. So remember, this was the energy that the rest of the reading is kind of wrapped around. Things aren't over yet, but beware. You have a tendency to both want to control the situation because you feel like you know maybe what's right. Keep having the passion, just be careful where you put it, I guess, is the message that's happening here. And the recognition that things aren't yet completely over. They are not yet over. So let's take a look at this Ten of Swords, and that's that feeling that was prevalent, the energetic backdrop for the time between you, where you were together the most. So even if you had kind of an off and on sort of cyclical relationship, there will be a time that particularly stands out, or there will be just a feel of the overall relationship. Oh my goodness. Okay, so check this out. All right, we have the Ten of Swords that is talking about the energetic backdrop for the time that the two of you were together. With it, there was a things are not right, or things can't really be right between the two of you sort of feel that happens here. That's part of why one of the things that they most want to do in this situation is to make things right. There was this feeling that they just felt so great when they were with you and so happy. It's almost like the sun comes out of this Ten of Swords in reverse. But really, what it was, this burden that they were carrying, that they want you to know the truth of, you made them feel like they weren't carrying it. You made them feel like they could set it down and everything was just fine. And when you guys were together, even though something about this wasn't quite right, something wasn't clicking into place, the way that you made each other feel and the way that you made them feel like they weren't having to carry this burden for just this little time that they were together with you is quite significant. That's a really big deal as far as how they felt about you. And so what would they tell you though? Well, they would want to make things right. So let's look into the clarifiers to understand maybe a little bit more about what that means. What would it mean for them to make things right? And let's see, the first one that comes out is the Nine of Cups in reverse. Okay, so this Eight of Cups here, you see how that has them journeying toward, conceptually, journeying toward their Nine of Cups, what they have defined as their wish fulfillment, and that they can't figure out how to fit you into this picture, and that's the thing that they don't know how to tell you. So the thing is that in order for you guys to be able to be together, what they want you to understand is they would have to veer away from the goal of this Nine of Cups that they had determined and defined earlier on. Could be that, they have found, they wanted to be together in a marriage that looks really good on paper and has the approval of the family members. But now, as they're moving down the road in this lifestyle, they're realizing that it lacks the thing that they hadn't accounted for, but that you helped them to define. So it isn't so much that they married somebody and they settled and they made a silly decision. Like, it probably didn't seem like a silly decision at the time, but they hadn't properly accounted for everything that they truly wanted. So you have turned what they wanted on its head. And now they have to think about how best to define that. But they're stuck in a position where they're not able to make a strong, decisive action and a movement forward. And that's what we're seeing here. So there is a desire to make things right, but there's also a realization that, hey, I can't do something here. My hands are tied. It's either, like I mentioned earlier, a family could be a work situation. They would lose their job if something happened between the two of you, or there is something there that seems a little bit drastic, but there's something there that makes them feel like they cannot advance in your direction. And that's pretty definite. That's pretty final, but um, they want you to know the truth. I see that over and over. They want to have like a real conversation with you that would help you to understand where they're coming from and the fact that you blew away what they thought was their Nine of Cups or their wish fulfillment. And so they've now determined, hey, the whole horizon is brighter and broader, and I don't know what to do about it, but I'm frozen a little bit here. Interesting. That's another concept that came up in a previous reading. So the fight, flight, or freeze response to a stressor. So let's take a look at this Ten of Wands then. Get that one clarified. So we have the Page of Swords to clarify the Ten of Wands. And that's multiple cards. If just one card falls, I'll usually take it. And if multiple cards fall face up or come out face up, I usually just take the top one unless I'm guided to take more. So, okay, we have the Ten of Wands, which is really about that load that they're carrying. It's part of that truth that they want you to know about. And the thing is that they've got this youthful sort of wishful thinking sort of desire that if they were to tell you about this situation and just kind of let go of all the mystery and tell you the truth about everything, there is some part of them that seems like it would somehow just be everything would be better. Now, there still is not a resolution on this situation for the vast majority of you as far as their reconciliation between what they said they wanted and what they went toward versus what they actually want. So maybe let's go ahead and clarify this Eight of Cups and see if we get any insights there and exactly what we get. So this Eight of Cups was in this hidden energy, and it's what would they tell you? What could they not tell you? But they kind of want you to know. But they wouldn't be able to tell you. So what we saw was the Eight of Cups, and it's all about them having to they've already been on a path. They're already quite lucrative on their path. And what they don't want to do is veer off of that now and have to redefine everything. Although in order to make things right, that's truly what has to happen. So it's a difficult place for them to be. This is a little bit like a dreamland. Like, what comes to mind to me here is some sort of fantasy where it was, could I tell you everything and we could have sort of this alternate reality experience where when I snap my fingers or whatever, suddenly all of this conversation ceases to exist, but I get to tell you, what would that be? And that's almost what we see here, because there's this dreamy sense of jumping in and I'll just tell you this and it'll make everything better. But when we look over here, we realize that making things right would demand a lot more of the situation. And right now they feel a little too locked up to do that. So, they're kind of staying in that hidden energy, but there is still this strong desire to kind of let the secrets bubble up and come to the surface and to have new light shed upon them. There's also this sense, though, that they feel like their hands are tied. It's the energy of a person who has a family and they feel like moving together with you, moving away from what they have determined was their Nine of Cups and their wish fulfillment. Moving away from that was going to endanger everything about it, and maybe like they have kids and they get the kids taken away or something like that. I mean, that's the sort of fear that I feel here with this Knight of Wands, and that's the reason that they can't tell you the truth, because telling you the truth and setting things right like this and doing like this dreamland sort of fantasy thing where they could tell you but there would be no repercussions. They would tell you, I guessed wrong. I meant to go after exactly what I went after, but I now realize that after some things have come to light for me, I now realize that that's not exactly what I wanted. It's turned what I wanted upside down on its head. I need you to know this. I need you to know that is the reason I didn't move toward you. There was so much that I was bearing, so much that I was holding on to and not telling you about. I would love to jump in, just tell you all about this. And of course, this is from their perspective, and to because it would make everything okay, especially because when you look at how they felt when they were with you. And let's take a look at this Five of Wands. Before we go, we are going to go over to the extended and see what's going on a little bit deeper on that, because one of the things that I want to understand about them, I see what they would tell you if they had the opportunity, but like, how does that incorporate with how you see this relationship, and or how they see this relationship and how they see you? I think that's part of what we may want to look at in the extended here. And also, like I said, this is what they want to have happen in the future. This is something that I think we may want to look a little bit more deeply into in the extended as well. So this is the Five of Wands. It's that struggle. We know we're starting with something that's very difficult, something that's going to be difficult to set right. But I feel like you're the person I could do it with. Oh, but I don't know if I can. There's this sense of powerlessness that comes over them. Okay, this one and this one. Feels a little bit like depression. Feels a little bit like depression, especially when they think about everything that's going to happen if they are to veer away from what their Nine of Cups is or what they've defined it to be in the past. They really are not wanting to let go of the creature comforts that they have, and they believe that turning their Nine of Cups on its head, which is their wish fulfillment, their idea of what it is that they want, turning that upside down and acting on it, that's the reason they don't feel like they can act on it, because that would destroy their household. It would destroy their way of living. Let me just say that. And that's something that they really don't want to let go of, but they also feel like this unbelievable, that's what's holding them back, but they feel like this unbelievable desire to move in this direction. And so you're feeling it too. And with what they're wanting to tell you here, that does not at all surprise me. I want to grab, though, an oracle card for you and just really quickly see. This is the Shaman's Dream Oracle. It's really cool deck. And just a piece of advice, overarching advice for you, because this is not an easy situation to be in. These energies that are coming from them are interacting with you and your energy body to a certain degree, depending on how well you shield against that sort of thing, depending on how well you're, even trying to shield against that sort of thing. All right, so we have the Surrender card coming out, Sky Dancers. And with this one, it really is about surrender. It really is about some moments are easier to surrender to than others. And so as this person is going through these experiences that make them not sure how they would even say the things to you if they felt like they could get away with doing so, even if they had like this dream situation, where they could tell you everything without repercussion, like how would you honestly fold that into reality? And they recognize they've gone pretty far down the road of capturing this Nine of Cups. They've got some serious reconciliation to do. And so for you, for your side, it's really more about, okay, disengage from the attachment, surrender to the situation that is. It doesn't mean to close the door, as I'm fond of saying. It's not about closing the door. It's about walking away from the door, leaving it open, but not sitting and watching that door, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. We're going to go into the extended where we're going to look a little bit more closely at. So this is what they would tell you, but how is it that they, you know, they feel about you, and the way things have gone here. I'm also curious to understand. This situation is going to be very difficult for them to get past. So kind of what that might look like, as well as maybe a little bit about this situation here where they're facing such a conflict between wanting to make a difficult situation fly straight with you, as well as feeling like they can't possibly do that in a million years. That's how I'd sum that up. So, if this resonated with you, please remember to like and share and subscribe so that we can stick together. Otherwise, you know, I will have the extended links down in the under video text, and so you can see the rest of how this one plays out in there. But I would hope, even if I don't see you there, that I would see you again in another reading.